All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this morning's webinar using social media to share our stories, or this afternoon's webinar. So before I get going, can I just start by acknowledging and paying my respects to all the traditional owners and custodians of land across the Kimberley. In Kununurra, we're on Malvern country, and I'd like to extend my respect to any elders past and present, including anyone who might be online with us today or watching from home in future. Thanks for having us. So my name's Christine Deng. I'm working with Binari Binya Yararu Aboriginal Corporation, or BBY for short. I'm the data manager here. And today we're going to be discussing how we use social media to share our stories in the East Kimberley. So this webinar is part of a series of activities that help our organisations to grow and develop strong and productive relationships and to take leadership in providing services across the East Kimberley. So just a few housekeeping items. So first of all, some questions in the chat box that I can respond to now. All participants will be muted throughout the webinar. If you do have any questions though, we really encourage you to get in touch through the chat box, which you'll be able to see on the left-hand side of your screen. And the other way to get in contact with us is to put up your hand. So at the bottom, you'll see a reactions button. You can put up your hand and Jenny, who's on the team here at BBY, will start chatting with you. If you do happen to lose your internet connection, you might want to try refreshing your browser and reconnecting using the link that was emailed to you. And if you must drop off early, or if you want to watch the webinar again, it will be uploaded to our website and to our YouTube channel, which I'll give you more information about at the end of the session. So without further ado, let me introduce our wonderful panelists. So our main presenter today is Natika Hawes-Wright. Natika Hawes-Wright is the founder and principal of TikTech Solutions. So she's a content writer and technical support specialist and has run her digital consulting business for a few years now, focused exclusively on building the capacity of small businesses, startups, and organizations that are mission-driven. Sounds really good. Her passion is to get small, medium organizations to start using digital tools and get real business results. And you can check out her thoughts and ideas about the use of digital tools on her website, which is www.tiktechsolutions.com.au. We'll put that info in the chat box as well. Thanks for joining us, Natika. It's really exciting to have you here.
Thank you very much. That makes me sound very, very important and very accomplished, but I'm just a nerd and I know how to Google. I'm not an expert by any stretch, but I do love working with not-for-profits, and I have spent pretty much my entire adult life working with not-for-profits, from telecentres back in the early days to when they became community resource centres. And I think that's where my skill set has arisen from, is because we've never had a budget to do any of our own marketing and stuff. So I've sort of had to learn as I go. So, yeah.
Definitely a different skill set, isn't it? Trying to do things leanly.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
So we also have Natasha Short with us here. Natasha is founder and chief executive officer for Kimberley Jiggers/Birds, which is a movement of Kimberley Indigenous women influencing social change across the region. So she's really passionate about sharing Indigenous culture in a positive way and using digital tools to share success stories of Aboriginal women. You can check out her organisation's websites and page at www.kimberleybirds.com.au to learn more about the movement. And she's also a member of BBY's board of directors, so we know her well here. Welcome to the webinar, Natasha.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
Thanks, good to have you. And finally, joining us from the BBY office is Malvern Gareta, who is our communications coordinator. Thanks for joining us, Malvern.
Thank you so much, Christine.
All right, so to kick things off, I'm going to hand it over to Natika to share about what social media storytelling is, benefits and examples, and key social media platforms and how to use them.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for having me. I'd also like to recognise the traditional owners of the Malvern country that I'm delivering from today and pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Like I said earlier, I'm running my own business. People might know me from around Kununurra and Wyndham because I was running the telecentres / community resource centres for a very long time prior to the Kununurra CRC winding up a few years back. And so that sort of left a big gap in the digital literacy market here in town. And so my focus has been on digital literacy and building capacity in small businesses and stuff like that. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but I do know how to Google, and I've inherited my dad's pig-headedness and stubbornness. So that's helped me go a very long way in learning how to use technology to our benefit. So basically, what is social media? It's just that it's media that we use to socialise predominantly, but it has been hijacked a lot by business lately. So we need to be aware of the fact that people are usually in places like Facebook and Twitter and Snapchat, etc., for the social aspect. So what do we want to use it for as an organisation, and how do we want to use it? So we need to think very carefully about what are we going to use it for? Are we going to be putting it out for information for our clients, or are we going to be talking to our stakeholders, in which case the language and the things that you post might be a little bit different, and they might be in different places. So we'll have a bit of a touch on where people are hanging out online. I want you to think about those sorts of things and what you want to get out of it before you go setting up social media channels for your organisation, because you've got to think of social media as your audience coming into your organisation and having a yarn. So they're coming in, they want to have a chat, they want it to be two-way, they don't just want to be getting that information bombarded from you. It's about building relationships, etc. So it's a really good spot for us to be able to share our good news stories, maybe find new staff, maybe talk to our customers, or put it out there what we're doing, so that when we're applying for the next round of funding, there's some solid evidence that, hey, we do deliver on what we say. We are, it's not just words on an application. So normally when I deliver sessions for digital literacy, I would have two-way interaction. So I'm not very good at just talking at people. So if anyone does have any questions, please feel free to throw them at me, okay? So yeah, what is social media? There's all sorts out there. There's things like, I don't touch TikTok. I have a big thing against it, but we've got Snapchat if you're trying to get hold of the young ones. There's Pinterest for the real oldies. There's Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube. There's so many different platforms, and it can be quite overwhelming as somebody who's trying to put together some sort of a strategy to market their organisation or to promote their organisation. So we're going to touch on some stuff about brand storytelling as well. So that's a bit further down in the list. I don't normally like to talk to slides, but these are just sort of prompts so that I don't forget anything today. So who is your audience? That's where you should start when you're thinking about what platforms your organisation needs to have. So the why you're talking to them should give you the who you're talking to and what you're trying to pitch out to them. So are you talking to government departments? Are they going to be potential funding bodies down the track, or are they paying you to provide services to your community? Is it small businesses? Do you want them to partner with you, or do you want something from them, or do you want to support them, or do they have something to offer to your clients? So is it the small businesses in town, or is it the big corporates like Rio and Wesfarmers or KPMG? And so those sorts of organisations and people hang out in different places online. So you've got to think about what you're wanting to talk about and who you're wanting to talk to. If it's individuals, are they young people? Are they older people? Are they families? Or, are they the decision makers in government organisations, etc., that you're wanting to talk to them through social media? what do they need and what do they want from you? So there's no point putting stuff out there that they don't really want to hear about or know about. There's no point really putting some stories on LinkedIn when you're sort of pitching for funding from corporates or government or whatnot. So those things are more about sharing activities that are happening in your community, and you want to sort of maybe go to Facebook to find the families and let them know what's happening and that sort of stuff. So, and then have a think about what you want to tell them. So the next thing you need to consider is, do you have a brand? So most organisations these days are pretty good. They've got their own brand, but do you have a style guide? So a style guide is something that tells you what type of colours you can use, the colours you can use. It tells you the types of fonts you can use, etc. So when you're putting out your content, which we'll talk about a little bit later, does it match with the style guide? So there's a consistent thing. So it looks the same every time it goes out. So if somebody sees a piece of content online, they go, oh, that's Tash, that's Kimberley Jeagers, because we know that her colours are green, black and yellow, and she uses this kind of writing and stuff. It might not be such a conscious acknowledgement, but you'll be able to tell. So Woonan are very good at putting out their branding across the board with their colours and stuff like that. So if your organisation doesn't have one, have a look at some of those examples and see if you can tell. I mean, I try. My business advice is always do as I say, not as I do, because I'm a bit terrible at following my own advice, because I'm just one person and I find it's a bit challenging to do all of the things that I know that I should be doing to be marketing my business online. But it's a good thing that I'm not getting the time, because it means I'm busy working. So yeah, when I'm not working is when I'm having to put that sort of stuff in together and everything like that. So the branding, I mean, I've just thrown a few of these together as an example, so you can see there's different colours and different fonts and things like that, and that speaks to the feel of your organisation. So you can sort of get a bit of an idea of how you want people to perceive your organisation. What do you want them to know about your organisation? And you need to develop a type of a way of talking, so a language style when you're talking to your audiences on different platforms and stuff. So that's a hard one sometimes to sort of balance between. I'm sorry, my headphone keeps popping out. I must be very sweaty. I'm going to put my aircon down. It's a bit warm in here. Yeah, so do you have one of those? If you don't, then do you need one? Where do you go to get one? You would maybe speak to, if you're lucky enough to have someone like Malvern in your organisation who's a communications person, they might be able to develop one for you, so that there's a bit of consistency if there's more than one person posting on your social media platforms, etc. So and there's also rules around where you can put your logo and how much space it needs to have around it. It can get quite picky, but I'm a little bit less picky with my sort of stuff, but I try and stick with my pink and grey colours. Some people think it's a bit of a galah, but you never know. So try and pick colours that represent your organisation and speak to your audience as to what you're sort of wanting to put out there. And the language tone is always important too. You'd use very different language talking to families in town to bring them into events at your organisation that your organisation is hosting, if they're your clients or your customers, than you would to someone who's working for a government department that you're wanting to get the next lot of funding from, or if you're talking to someone at Rio and you're really wanting to sort of be, well, maybe not Rio anymore, bad example, but any of those big corporates, that are wanting to be good social citizens. So, right, any questions on any of those bits that I've broached? No? Nothing from anyone? All right. So where are your audience members hanging out online? Depends who they are. So if you are looking for young people, you've got to be on Snapchat or Instagram or even TikTok or stuff like that, because that's where they're hanging out. If you're looking for government boffins or decision makers, they're usually on things like Twitter or LinkedIn. Big corporate, like big business, is on LinkedIn as well. And ABC, if you're looking for getting stories out, the ABC Kimberley are very good at watching your Twitter feed. So don't discount having Twitter every now and then as well, because that helps to share your story with the other traditional media outlets, and they're very good at sharing your stories too. Are they general community members that you're wanting to talk to, or just individuals in general? If they're individuals in general, where are they? Are they here? Are they Perth? Are they Canberra? Are they all around Australia? Are you running a tourism enterprise? Are you looking for international attention as well? So those sorts of questions will help you to figure out where you need to be for your organisation, so that you can get your messages out to the right people in the right spaces. So why do we want to use social media? What's the benefit of it? Well, one of the big benefits is that you can get your message out very, very quickly, but that can also be a risk as well. So you have to be very careful sometimes. There's always people that post in haste and regret that. So make sure that you don't sort of do it off the cuff. Just do try and have a bit of a plan. But you can get messages out quite quickly on social media. Whereas if you're trying to use traditional media outlets, think of things like the Echo and the Broome Advertiser, you've got to wait until they publish on a Thursday afternoon. They go to print on a Thursday afternoon. They come out on a Friday morning or something like that. You've got a week between print runs, etc. Whereas you can put something on your social media that very day, that instant, or as it's happening. So there's benefits there for live video feeds as well through things like Facebook, etc. You can really target your messages to people's interests if you have a little bit of time and energy to build your audiences in platforms like Facebook. Facebook's great at knowing what you want before you do. Have you ever noticed that? How when you're on Facebook, you might have been thinking about something and next minute there's an ad for it. So like the cat scratching post, because I've got a new kitten and I didn't know I needed one, but Facebook did. So they're very, very good in their marketing at pinpointing people's interests and finding the audiences for the businesses. Now that can be quite an involved process, don't get me wrong, but you can do some of that. I've just set some ads up today for the Kimberley Small Business Support, and it's for some workshops that are happening across the Kimberley. So the audience that I've picked out have been in Kununurra and Wyndham and Warman and Halls Creek and Fitzroy and Derby and Broome. So people that aren't in those spaces won't necessarily we won't have to pay for them to see those ads. So it's very good at being able to be very specific as to who it's speaking to. And on a negative for that, this is how Donald Trump got in America, because back in the olden days, when you put out a political advert, it would go in the newspaper and everybody would see the same message. It was always the same message. But with social media, you can target down to people's interests, etc. So when the political campaign was happening, when Trump was running, they actually bought the data to say, right, we want to talk to people that are on the fence, that don't necessarily know which way they're going to vote. So they changed their language to influence those people's decisions. Then they got the hardcore Trump supporters. They went, right, these people think about these sorts of things. And so they went properly hardcore and fired them up even more to want to support him. And so they were able to sway those people on the fence by giving them sympathetic messages that made them sort of flip over to his side rather than the other side. So it's a very, very powerful tool. And I don't think that I'm ever going to be in that sort of space where I'm quite that proficient at using it to be able to target the audiences that much. But you need to know a lot about who you're talking to and what their thoughts are and what their feelings are and where their alliances lie, etc. So it is very, very powerful. So be aware of that. So the other things you can do is you can promote your services, you can recruit for new staff members. You might be putting your recruitment posts up on things like LinkedIn and Facebook, and you can target that to just people in town, or you could spread it out to all over the world or all over the country. So there are lots of benefits there to be able to get your message out far and wide. And it doesn't have to, like, it can be free other than the time it takes to put it up there. So, but you can also pay for posts if you want to be boosted or run ad campaigns, etc., to reach a wider audience. So basically, how do you help your posts reach lots and lots of people without having to spend a lot of money? So there's this thing called an algorithm. And each of the social media platforms has their own algorithm. But basically what it is, it works out every time you're scrolling on your phone or on your desktop through posts on Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter or anything, it pays attention to what you click on, what you interact with, and the thing, even to the point of how long you take to go past something. If you are scrolling past something, it works out, she's not interested in that, but she liked that one. She stopped there and she read that. She opened that video and watched that, etc. So that builds a picture of what your interests are. So for me at the moment, it would be lots of funny cat videos and all of those silly things. So, it picks out what I want to engage in, and it will give me more of that. So when we're posting for our organisation, it's great if you can get a number of people to react to that post. I'm talking specifically Facebook, but all of the platforms would have similar bits and pieces in. But if you can get a number of people to react with that post quickly, then Facebook is going to put that post in more news feeds organically. What that means is that they decide what they put where. We don't really decide other than what we're interacting with. So if we have lots of people that love it or make a comment on it or share it, and then the share goes on, that's going to boost its popularity. And Facebook goes, oh, people are into that. We'll put that in more news feeds. Whereas if you put up a post and it sits there and it hasn't had much interaction, Facebook go, nah, people aren't really into that. They're not, we won't put that in too many more news feeds. We don't need to worry about that too much. So I was going to show you a quick example of my insights for mine and one of the Rotary ones that we had, because I managed the Rotary page as well. If you just bear with me for a second. Let's go there. Wait for my internet to catch up. In the insights on Facebook, I can see how far things have gone, and you can see this is my own business one. Again, one that is do as I say, not as I do, because I'm not very good at using it a lot. So you can see in the back end how many people I'm reaching and where they are, to the point of whether they're men or women and their age brackets, etc. So if I have a look, where have they moved the posts to? Posts and stories, here we go. So in here, sorry, this is the super fast internet of Kununurra. I can see that this post, I can flick on here and it will tell me I've had 8 people like that one. Nobody's commented on it. And it should tell me now. Things have changed again. I should have checked this before I came on. It should tell me how many news feeds it's been shown in and where sort of if it's getting a bit of attention. I don't usually pay for any of my posts to be boosted or anything like that, but this will give me an idea of what sort of content my audience are interested in, and therefore I should get some hints on that, and that's stuff that I can try and replicate to get more interaction. Because ultimately, as not-for-profits and social enterprises, we want to get our messages out there, and we don't want to have to put a lot of money into our social media marketing if we can avoid it. If you've got something that you really need to, then you can pay to boost those posts, etc. So yeah, that's not giving me the information that I want. Sorry, folks. Results. So you can see it's up and down, and you can see my posts aren't regular, etc. in there. So let's have a look at Rotary. And you can see things are different, slightly different in the back end here. Here we go. There's the Rotary one. So we've put a post up on the 5th of March and 169 people have seen that just by themselves. We haven't paid for that. We've had 3 people and 5 people. So 3 post clicks and 5 reactions to it. So people have wanted to have a read of, this is the post that we've put up. And can you see how I had different options in both of those backgrounds? So every time I go into the background of social media, it changes, so it confuses me. So don't feel bad if you're sort of feeling a bit lost with it, that's for sure. So we put up a post about, if you're interested in joining Rotary, these are some of the things we do. We'd love to have more members. Hit us up in a message. So that's what's called a call to action. So we've called people to act. 3 people have liked it on the post. 1 person's loved it. There's not been any, there's been 1 share. So 1 person has shared it. And there's been all these people down here who've reacted to it in some way. Now, if that share has gone off and hasn't had any reactions or engagement, that negatively affects our reach, because if it doesn't get reacted on in that other one, people are going, oh, they're not that into that, so they're not that into that, so they don't put it out as much. So if people are sharing, please try and encourage your people to share stuff when it's going to get reactions and stuff. And you can see there are some things that almost go viral and some things that do go viral, and you just can't pick it sometimes. But do try and put people in there with permission, of course, because people like to see themselves and good news about themselves and all of that sort of stuff. So definitely get your permissions sorted. So that's social media. Facebook stuff is very good for the communities here. There's a lot of people that are very hooked into groups on Facebook here in our town. Have we got people from West Kimberley in this group as well that are chatting, or is it just East Kimberley residents that are here, or it's Kimberley wide?
Yeah, I think we do have some from West Kimberley.
Yeah.
1 or 2.
Yes. Yeah. So there'd probably be geographic groups. So we've got community notice boards here, etc. So you might want to go and share your posts in there if it fits within the group rules, because that will help it get a bit more attention. So anything you can do to help your posts get noticed and quicker, the better, because that will help you help your post to get out there organically. So just by itself, without you having to pay anything. Okay, so the next stuff I'm going to talk about is content and some of the tools and things. But did anyone else want to sort of jump in there? Because I feel like I'm just talking at you all.
I feel like you've given a really good intro for us, Natika, especially around the purpose of social media and why we use it, and sort of a bit of background around how powerful it can be as well. And I guess the main takeaway I'm getting from that is how important it is that we're literate around it and that we know how to use it, because obviously it's a tool that could go wrong if we don't know how to use it, but it could be so powerful and so effective for good if we do. And I think someone who can give us really real examples about how effective social media has been is Natasha. So I might throw over to you now, Natasha. Which social media platforms does Kimberley Jiggers use, and how do you use them to share stories of your movement?
Yeah, thanks, Christine. I think Jenny had called me. Hi, everybody. Hi out there. Jenny had called me, I think, because she said, look, I think Kimberley Birds does do social media quite well. So, and we're new in this space, so we're learning, and that's okay, because we're all on a journey together and we're all trying to work out how to tell our stories. What I love about social media, I guess, is the power is in our own hands to use this platform. It's a free platform for us to share our stories in a positive way. So we speak from a strengths-based approach rather than a deficit. And so we put positive, good news stories out there. But we're on all platforms pretty much. like LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Now, I engage predominantly with Facebook because it's just so easy for me. So I tend to be the person that engages with that. And then where it's relevant, I just share content, like Teek just said, modify the language somewhat because you're now speaking to a different audience. So LinkedIn is more of a professional network of people in corporates and whatnot. So I can still use the same video or post, but I just modify my language somewhat to suit that audience, as opposed to my Facebook page, Kimberley Birds, which is community. I'm talking to community. I'm not really talking to trying to get funding or whatever. I'm just talking to people in my community or just sharing Indigenous knowledge with the wider audience out there. So I think can I go on, Christine, or are you asking me?
Sure. Please.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. So I think one of the things, and I love that people can use this platform, I think where people get a little bit lost sometimes, they don't know how to use it properly. So it's great that you've had some factual information, some stats there from a person like Teek who's got that expertise in that area. I'm sort of guessing some of it. I'm not trained in that space. I'm just doing it innately. Well, she's a Miss Google and trying to, bit of a nerdy person, but I just do content that I feel passionate about. So that's what I use there. But what I take notice of with people sometimes, even with especially with private businesses, they think that they can post personal content on your business page. So when you have a personal page, keep it for your personal interaction. That's your personal page. And when you have a business page, I never put personal content on my business page. I can sometimes share content from my business page to my personal page. That's okay, but never the other way around. So people out there don't really want to know it's your nephew's birthday or that your wife's pregnant or whatever. You're trying to promote your business or the Aboriginal organization that you're working for, and you want to do it in such a way that it's professional. So you keep your mind on how to be professional and also engaging content. So again, the algorithms there that are like showing you, no one's interested in this. Or then I'll post something. One of the biggest posts I've ever had is those helicopters I posted that Taminga had painted, and it's been shared 300 times, viewed by 13,000 people, because so many people are passing it on to another cohort that's engaging with that content. But it all comes back to me because it's all about branding and marketing and putting out there the same message, like I've got my cards, I've got my compliment slips, I've got my banner, I've got a work shirt branded, I've got a car. So I'm promoting my brand all the time. And I want people to associate my brand with being quality. So it's synonymous with producing excellent work. So I always, when I'm doing posting, I use nice, beautiful pictures. I take time to do a post. I think about the post of what I'm going to write. Of course, you've got the benefit here of deleting the post later, even though some people may have seen it, but there's a possibility that you can delete it. But think it through first about what you want to say. Use a nice, clear picture, even if you have to find one on Canva or, what are they, Unsplash or something, all these other places. I tend to take my own pictures and then I match it with a nice coloring or something like that, so people engage with it straight away. Now with videos, like if you talk to Teek, she'll say, well, videos are king, like, but trying to keep them under 1 minute. Sometimes I can't do that. My videos are like 2 or 3 or 4 minutes because I'm actually telling somebody some work that I'm doing or of an initiative. So, but that's okay, because I find that I've got fantastic reach on that because I'm producing content that not many people are doing, e.g. Aboriginal stories from an Aboriginal woman, or from some kind of real engagement that's happening right now in a community that's not easily found by somebody else necessarily in another part of Australia, or they could be in another part of Australia, but hey, what's happening in the Kimberley? Who lives there? What's going on over there? So I just recently did a video with Sally Martin on a program that we've got, which is Lighting the Spark. Now I can see, because you're the administrator of a page, you can see how much the reach that it's got, you can see how many times it's been viewed. I can see that's been viewed 1,700 times since I posted that a week ago. That is huge, great, free advertising for me, but I also, at some point, I also pay for my work as well. Not very often, but for example, we just recently released a magazine, the Kimberley Shearers, a Not So Secret Women's Business magazine. And I wanted to increase my sales on the digital version of it because I had sold all my hard copies. So we'd printed 250 and they had gone. They've all been sold as of last week. We launched them last week on International Women's Day. but I wanted to increase sales on my digital. And so I paid the $25, but then I got back probably a dozen purchases. So I've lost the $25, but I've then made $100, by using the boost. But I don't do that often. I like the best way is for that organic reach, where someone else is loving that content and sharing it on. And like teacher said, when people see themselves, they love it. They're seeing their auntie, they're seeing their grandmother, they're seeing their sister. So they're going to share it amongst their own group, because all you're ever doing is speaking about them in a really beautiful and positive, and glowing way. And people love that. It's where we're coming from in regards to the strengths-based approach. As far as regularity goes, so 3 or 4 times a week. So I'm often on Facebook. But I also work with freelancers. I work with people who are skilled in the area of communication. So someone actually does my websites. If I want to add pages, take pages off there, someone else is doing that because that's their area of skill. That's a freelancer. And then they just send me an invoice by the end of the month. Just this morning, I've been engaging with Christy Britton, who actually does Kimberley Bird's newsletters every 3 months. I just write the content and I provide a few pictures to her. And then she just produces this fantastic piece of work, because she's a graphic designer, not qualified, but that's her area of love and passion. And she does a beautiful job for us, and has done that consistently since we launched in 2018. So she's always done my newsletters, and I don't try and do something that I'm not that good at doing. I just like to try and stick to things that I love doing. And I just create my posts very naturally, and just very what I feel and what looks good and what I think is going to get some interest or some engagement. I love to promote language. I love to promote women who are doing positive work in the community and stuff like that. So yeah, I think there's just a few things that people are not realizing the power of the platforms that's available to them, and they can easily take advantage so much more of free, media use, social media use. It's just a matter of taking a little bit of time to stop and think about what might grab the interest of somebody. There's actually stories around you all the time, and people love stories. People love content. People love to know what you're doing and how you're going about doing it. And also we tend to focus a little bit too on inspiring people. So I'll put like little quotes up there. I actually select those quotes. I take the time to flick through what might be nice or what might resonate with people. Then I jazz it up in my own way that I, with my communications people or people who have that skill set to create content for me in tiles to promote on my Facebook page, because every time someone's sharing it, they're sharing my message, and I'm not paying them $1 single to do that, so it's really good. And I think the reason why Kimberley Birds has got good social media presence is just because we think it through, and we take the time to do a nice job and find that nice picture. That takes a few minutes. That takes a little bit of time to work it through. But if people will do that, they might be really surprised. One of the things that people sometimes do as well, they put complaints or they have a bad experience with a client, they actually share that on social media. Now, literally this week, I've texted someone privately to say, I've just seen you post this on your business page, like delete it, or like don't even go there, because it's reflecting badly on your brand. It's of no benefit to you whatsoever to share a ugly exchange that you've had with a client that doesn't like your work. So get away from that. If you're a business, you don't want to be complaining if you're not getting work or if someone's not engaging. You can say that privately, go for your life, but on social media, on your business page, no, you don't want to be sharing that at all. But yeah, for me, it's about promotion of my logo and that brand recognition, so people know that black cockatoo, that black jigger, the bird, is my brand, and they associate that with the fact that I offer a lot of different services in my community, and I want people to engage with my work, right? I want them to engage and know more about what I'm doing and stuff. So I like to present myself in that positive way that people think that's interesting, that's different, that looks exciting, that looks inspirational. How can we get, how do we become involved in that? And so I find it really good. I find it really just a great way to get my story out there. And look, it was all new. Up to 3 or 4 years ago, I didn't have a business page. I didn't know how this quite works. And if you go right back to when we first started with Kimberley Birds, like my content has changed as I've gathered a little bit of an understanding of what people want to see. You modify it, right? You don't just keep posting it. You look at those back, sheets that teacher showed you in regards to, you can actually see your data. You can see what people are wanting to engage with the most, and then you replicate that content, but just with a different person, or just with slightly different style. But I will never run out of content. I will never ever run out of good news stories. It's just about identifying them and making those few minutes to do that. And what I find now is, because I'm getting more confident in this space, I wasn't doing it before, I can create a video with someone and I usually get it done on the first go. So I don't tend to do live videos because I can't manage the risk, because I don't know what's going to happen in a live video, right? Like, it's just whatever's going to be there's going to be there. So I don't even do that. I just do a recording. So of course I have to do it a couple of times if there's a mistake, but 90% of the time I'll literally do first take. I'll show the video that was the first take. Because people are seeing it now and they know what to expect. So when I rope somebody in to do an interview with me, they know it because they've already seen it. So they're just going to speak from their own stories and stuff. So, but then you've got the beautiful, ability to play it back and say, you watch it here with me now. Do you approve of this? And then go ahead and post it. And what's really great as well is almost nobody says no to me. Almost nobody says no to me to allow me to use their photograph or a video of them, because they know that I'm going to only say a good thing, So I'm producing good content. And so, sometimes they're a little bit hesitant to say, oh, that's embarrassing, or I don't want to do that. What am I going to say and whatever. And I just coax them along a little bit. And then pretty much then I got them, and then I get huge viewings on my videos, especially. So I can easily get 500 views, 1,000 views, 2,000 views. Some of them I've got 8,000 views on one video. So that is huge free advertising for my brand.
Tash, have you noticed, can I interrupt there? Have you noticed a difference between if you use like a tripod and make it look really in a studio and all proper and flash, or real authentic, you're talking from the heart and you're not using a script and you're just going for it? And people like that over the scripted stuff?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I don't ever go from a script. I'll run it through with the person first that's with me. We'll actually, do a practice run first. Yeah. And it's really good. And so, but like someone saw me and said, oh, there's too much wind in your background, go and get a microphone. So I went and bought a microphone, just to increase the quality of my productions. And then straight away he noticed it. He was like, hey, good sound, because I'm out and about. I'm in the field. Yeah. So I want to make sure that it's not just a good visual, but you can actually hear me, not just the wind in the background. You're not always going to get it perfect and stuff. And sometimes you don't know how popular something is going to be. I didn't expect that picture of that helicopter to be shared 300 times. That's insane, But, and I don't tend to use LinkedIn, and Instagram as much, but it's there. And it is a professional network. So I can see this week that Kimberley Jiggers was in 550 searches in this week on LinkedIn. So that's huge. That's good data for me, because somebody is, obviously looking. What are these people doing?
They're picking up what you're putting down, Tash.
They're picking up what you're putting down. And that actually translates to work. Literally, it actually translates to, I'm not doing it for that purpose, like consciously all the time. I'm not, but it's working out that way for me. So it's plus. I tell a story in a way that I'm controlling and the woman is controlling, and she sees it before I post it. But then someone goes, I love that. I really love that. What's happening up there? How would I get involved in that? And how am I a part of that? So look, just use good pictures. Use engaging content. That creation of authentic content is huge. Only very few people are producing it, so you'll get very good traction. Sometimes you can even cheat and you can just share what another person has done to your page, just to keep a bit of momentum on your page. But really, my preference is I create my own content because I'm in control of the language and the picture, you know. Tell good news stories. Don't be sharing your personal life story on your business page, got nothing to do with your business, okay? And don't be putting whinges or complaints on there that you're not getting work because no one's interested. Yeah, and don't put poor quality pictures or videos up there. Don't blurry stuff like, no, don't even go there because you want your brand to be known for professionalism, you know? And sometimes you have to manage a few trolls and stuff. I've had to delete people off my social media page because they're actually writing some kind of nonsense there or having a whinge, unreasonable whinge. And so I just delete them. I just delete the comment and then I just block them from my page. And I've had to do that only probably 2 times since I started, which is very low odds there, low numbers. But I've had to do that because I don't want them getting involved in something that I'm doing in a very positive way that's not actually representing my business or, you know, my integrity, what I feel is my integrity and what I'm trying to achieve. So that's probably it in a nutshell from me. I didn't have a PowerPoint like Tick did, but that's pretty much my story of how I use social media and try and engage with my audience and tell them what's going on in the Kimberleys.
That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that, Natasha. I think something that strikes me about the social media of Kimberley Jigas is what you said, the authenticity of the brand and how it's just really genuine, exciting, positive stories. And you're not just posting things for the sake of posting things, but it's actually really sharing what you care about. And as a result, you're not only growing that brand and growing the reach, but you're also building that community with you because people are being drawn into it, which I think is just the most powerful part of it, which is really great.
Yeah.
Natika, we've got 10 minutes left. So I was wondering if you want to spend 5 minutes sort of going over some ways that we can use content and different types of content on social media, and then we'll wrap up with a bit of question and answer.
Yeah, sure. So like Tash said, I do promote video as the king of everything. And there's some really great free or cheap tools that businesses and organisations can use these days. Tash mentioned Canva. It is my favourite free to cheap tool that I can't speak highly enough about it. When we're talking content, it can be photos, it can be videos. You can share links to other websites, etc., to your audience to sort of generate interest and things. And it is good to share other organisational posts and stuff. So, so long as there's an understanding between the two organisations that you're on the same page, like Tash said, so that it's complementing your brand, it's not contradicting your brand or your ethos. So sharing is called like curating content, so collecting it from other places and sending that out. Creating is easy. If, like Tash said, you get great photos, get really nice quality photos, you can either get a photographer in to do some sort of stock standard images particular to your organisation. So get some nice headshots of your people and some nice pictures of them in action and ones that can be used in different sort of situations, so that you've got a little library of your own stuff, because it is very hard to find free or low cost stock images particular to the Kimberley and particularly to our types of organisations. So I do a fair bit of work for an organisation that's a peak body for seniors throughout Australia, and I create content for their Facebook page and their website, etc. And it's really hard to find older people that people in the Kimberley could relate to. So there's old people, there's older people from a whole bunch of culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds, but there's very few that I could say, oh yeah, they look like they could be in Kununurra, or yeah, they look like they could be in Broome or something like that. So it's good to have a stock of your own images that you can use. And it's not that difficult these days. Almost everyone's got a smartphone in their pocket, and most of those create great video content. I mean, I just recorded some from Dr. Steph today for, now that COVID's out in the community, there's a fair bit of messaging that needs to come out from Women and Health about what to do to isolate, how to attend video appointments, etc. So I just used my iPhone, and it came out in 4K. Like that's cinematic quality. And
good.
yeah, it is. It's great. And so you don't have to have an expensive setup. You just need to have a nice. And my favorite piece of kit is one of these. Oops, can you see that in front of me with my background? That's a lens cloth. You just keep cleaning those lenses off so that you've got nice clear photos, okay? And the front one if you're using the front. Yeah, that too. So make sure that that's clean and that there's nothing blocking the microphone, and you'll find that your sound is coming through great. If you're outside, like Tash says, grab a microphone and put one of those little fluffy dead rabbit things on it so that it sort of blocks the wind out and stuff. There's a few things that you can do to make your content sort of sing, but that authenticity, you can't get that from anywhere else other than from the heart. So if you're talking from the heart, then that is what's going to sort of speak to people. And again, keeping it positive is great. I'm happy to sort of show anyone Canva. I have got a workshop that I've delivered through the Kimberley Small Business Support on how to use Canva, etc. So if there are organisations out there, keep an eye on the Kimberley Small Business Support, because I'm a business advisor through that state government funded program. And if there are activities or workshops happening, then organisational people are able to come along to those as well. You don't have to be a small business to come to those workshops. So we do an hour or so on how to use Canva, because Canva's now got the capacity, I'll show you actually, to put your brand kit in there. So what that means is, can you see on here, these are all of my logos, which I actually made in Canva myself. So I'm not a graphic designer, and graphic designers roll their toes when I say I use Canva, but it makes it so easy to stay on brand for things that you're doing. So I've put my color codes in, so they're all in here. I've put my logos, and in different ways. So I've got what's called a reverse and clear background, so you can see down the bottom here, that one, that's my reverse logo. And so I can put that onto an image and it will show up properly. And I could put the colors on, but the colors might blend in. So the white one, which is called reverse, is good and all that. But all the headings and stuff are in there. So if I go back to the home part here in Canva, wait for it, home, there we go. You can see here, it makes it very simple. And I've used Canva to make the graphics that you've seen in the slideshow today. I just sort of Googled for a few bits and pieces, and you know that any images that come in from Canva are royalty free. So if you've got the free Canva, then some might have like the little "would you like fries" with that symbol, I call it. So it's a little crown on there. That might cost you $10, and you can have 10 uses of paid content in there. But if you pay for Canva each year, I think it's about $160 for the year, you can use those things and it doesn't cost you any extra. So for my business, it makes sense for me to have Canva, because I can create all sorts of bits and pieces. But on saying that, as not-for-profits, you can apply for the full Canva license for free. So you can have the subscription for free for your not-for-profit. So there's just a few questions that you need to answer and send that in. So that's a really great, that's what we do for the Seniors Computer Clubs Association that I work with. We've got a free, fully paid account for free because it's a charitable organisation. So you can see I do all sorts of things in there. I make Zoom backgrounds. I create the graphics for Rotary's Tech Talk, etc., etc. And it's really simple and straightforward. It's what you call a WYSIWYG. So what you see is what you get as you drag things in. So if I'm in here and I go to, say, this one that I created, and I can make them into little videos if I want to post them. And just by making them into what's called a GIF, then it becomes a video instead of a picture, and Facebook love that. And it only sort of ticks over a minute or so. So I've just gone and got a screenshot of the iMovie and Windows Movie Maker and the Canva logo, and then this is a royalty-free image that they put. So I can then go animate if I click on here. Whoops, no, not that one. Hang on, animate it, and it will show me some. Okay, I'll talk quick. So you can animate those and you can see what it does so that you know what it's going to look like when it happens. And so just by creating, instead of it being a static image, animating that image, that makes it into a video, and so then helps to go, oh, we like that better because that's a video, and you can pop that out there. So yeah, there's heaps that you can do on Canva. So yeah, I could talk for hours on Canva.
So but at BBY, we love Canva. Everything graphically that's beautiful that's come from BBY has definitely originated in Canva.
Yeah, it's great. It's such a wonderful tool. And the best part is it was an Aussie girl that made that. Yeah, so it's an Australian business. Yeah, exactly. So
many
even
great
better
resources.
Exactly.
There are. Yeah. So
thanks for that, Natika.
Thank you. No worries.
Just to finish off quickly, I wanted to throw over to you, Malvern, to talk about if there are any risks that we need to think about in terms of using social media, just to round off this very positive conversation. If there's anything that people should be keeping in mind as they go forth on their social media journeys.
Yeah, thank you very much, Christine. So yeah, I'm just going to share my PowerPoint here. I just had 4 risks that I just discovered that I think they're really relevant when people are, creating their social media plans, or they're trying to post something on social media. I think number 1 has been mentioned a lot. Thanks to Tash and Natika, they've mentioned a lot about the damage of brand repetition. Mostly here we are talking about the language, the language or the tone that you use. And it all boils down again to what Natika was saying, that every organization should have a brand style guide. For me as a communications person, the brand style guide is our Bible. Whenever we go to any organization, or we are doing freelancing or anything, we always try to look for a style guide first, because it really shows us, what kind of type of content or what type of language we are supposed to use when we are posting as well. And also in terms of language as well, know the community that you are posting, know your audiences, especially here in East Kimberley. There are some sensitive issues that you cannot just go and post. So do have that cultural awareness, and type of language that you're supposed to use, because some of your posts may become offensive. And then of inconsistency. This one is a major barrier as well in terms of risk of using social media, because once you start engaging on social media, or you start using Facebook or Twitter, just make sure you're consistent. Not like a way whereby you posted something in January and then your next post is in November. It really doesn't work. You start getting less followership, and even your audiences, they'll start seeing that you're not really serious, in terms of airing your communication or key messages. And also number 3, there's an element as well of risk of overuse as well. Know your organization capacity, in terms of overusing, because there are some who try to post, every day you're making a post. Sometimes the audiences, they'll get really tired of all your posts, even if they are really good. So just make sure that you don't overuse. Some writers or researchers, they would say maybe 3 posts per week or 2 posts per week. If you're a big organization like hospitals, they're always posting every day, which is really good, because they know that their audience is really big. And also number 4, we do have account hacking. This one, I really urge people to be really careful of it, because sometimes when you're doing your social media plans, people don't take into consideration that we do have account hackers out there, or even people who are close to you, they even know the password of your company, Facebook too that you're using, or Twitter too that you're using, So just make sure that you change your password maybe after every 3 months. Some they change after every 6 months. Some big organizations, they are always reviewing their passwords every fortnight. They're changing their passwords because they are trying to avoid this element of account hacking. So these are some of the tips that I would give to people, or risks that I would really like to see people trying to avoid, So I think about that. But I do have another one. Sorry. This one is something that I've observed, because most of the time I'm researching other websites, especially in East Kimberley. I research what they are doing and stuff. When you all check your website, at the bottom or the footer of your website, there's a tool there that they normally use, to highlight which year you have been updating your website. So it normally says C 2020, C 2019, C 2018. So you should be really careful of that, because some professional people, when they're visiting a website, when they see that your website is still saying C 2018, it shows that you don't care about your website. You are not updating information there. So it really puts some people off, when they see that this website was last updated in 2018. So I just urge everyone to please just go on your websites, go at the bottom of your homepage, and try to update and say C22, so that it shows that you are really, updating your website. So those are kind of tips that I would give to everyone out there in terms of social media. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Malvern. I think that really rounds out our conversation, giving us some really practical advice to use going forward as we learn how to use social media, making sure that, obviously, like Natasha and Natika have talked about, being really authentic and genuine, and making sure we're educating ourselves about how to use it, but also making sure we're keeping mindful of the risks and security issues as well around using this really powerful tool. So thank you so much, Natika Hawes-Wright and Natasha Short and Malvern Gareta, for joining us with this webinar today. It's been really great learning from all of you. I'd also like to thank Jenny on BBY staff, who with Malvern has put this event together and have been running the webinar in the background. If anyone out there knows someone who would be interested but has missed this webinar, it's been recorded. So from Monday next week, you will be able to see it on our YouTube channel and also on the website at Empowered Communities East Kimberley. So that's www.bby.org.au. Thanks to all of our listeners, and I hope this webinar has been helpful to you. We've also got some online resources on how to use social media, which will also be uploaded onto our website. And we'll be sharing links to these resources into your emails. So if you've registered for this webinar, then you'll get a follow-up email from us from the start of next week. All right, thanks again, everyone. Thanks again.
Thank you.